Former Van Halen frontman Sammy Hagar is giving new details about how he and Eddie Van Halen reconnected earlier this year. Stick with us. Good afternoon and welcome to Rock Feed. Thanks so much for joining us. If you're new here, please consider subscribing with notifications on so you don't miss out on breaking news and updates. The rock world is still paying tribute to the great Eddie Van Halen. His musical stylings have influenced generations of guitar players, and he is dearly missed. And as the world continues to pay tribute to Eddie Van Halen, we're hearing about some very special stories like this particular one with Sammy Hagar. They had an on-again, off-again relationship over the last 20, 30 years or so, and it was repaired earlier this year, and that is very fortunate to hear. We knew that last week when Sammy started talking about it, and now we have an update for you in a couple of interviews from the last 2 days where he talked about more so about how that relationship developed and some of the funny things that Eddie actually said to Sammy. So first off, there's an interview that came out a couple of days ago with KSHE 95 when Sammy Hagar reveals that it was a certain comedian that actually pushed the two together to reunite. And that comedian was none other than George Lopez. He says, I reached out to Eddie because George Lopez, the comedian who I've known for a long time and who also is dear friends with Eddie, calls me up and says, Sammy, I need you to call Eddie. I played golf with him. He's not doing good. And he went on to say that Eddie loved him and was actually disappointed that he hadn't reached out to him. This is what George Lopez was conveying to him. He says, I reached out to all these people. I reached out to Alex. I didn't have Eddie's contact number. So George says, here's his number. Call him. And so Eddie picks up the phone, and the first thing that he says to him is, what took you so long? He said to him. He says, it was just one big love fest from then on. That was back in the beginning of the year before COVID. So yeah, we had been texting and talking about Wolfie and his new record. So about us and the things we did and how great the stuff was. And then in a separate interview from a couple days ago, he spoke on the Angie Taylor Show on Rock 105.5. And he says, I think the word is pretty much out that Eddie and I buried the hatchet earlier on this year. We didn't go around talking about it. He asked me not to talk about it, and I did not talk about it. But now, looking back, if we wouldn't have come to terms with that feud that we were having after the reunion tour, I wouldn't have been able to come to grips with it. It would have been way too much for me because I'm still grieving my ass off. But the grieving is starting to make it feels like, hey, we had a great thing. This music will live on forever beyond me. I'll sing it for the rest of my life. When I'm gone, hopefully some young bands will come and play that music, and you can always play it in your homes. And he was asked to recall some of his favorite Eddie Van Halen moments, and he says, again, when I called him after years of not speaking back in February, I think January, whatever it was, before COVID, he said, what took you so long? It put the biggest smile on my face. I said, oh my God, don't ask me. That was just very touching to me. Hey, I've been waiting. And then, of course, Michael Anthony and Sammy Hagar recorded this video paying tribute to Eddie Van Halen. Here's a little bit of that.
I just want to say that I'm kind of devastated we get to do it again tomorrow. I tell you, a Van Halen song never felt so hard to sing and play in my life.
It was hard.
It was.
It's very surreal right now, and it hasn't sunk in yet.
Well, what I felt playing, especially a song like Right Now that's so timeless, that I felt, wow, thank God for this. You know what I mean? It's like we'll never play with Eddie again, but thank God for this.
But we have the music.
And you can see the full video over on Sammy Hagar's channel. All right, that is all for now. Thanks so much for joining us today at Rock Feed. Again, if you're new here, please consider subscribing with notifications on so you don't miss out on breaking news and updates.